Film Festival organized by Talking Films Online. This group was formed on June 2nd, 2020, during the lockdown when most of us were watching a lot more films than we normally do. Almost on a whim, Nikhila and I decided to formalize our Facebook discussions on films by forming an online film club. Since then, we have had
Right.
uninterrupted discussions on films from all over the world every Saturday at 9 p.m. We have also held festivals of Iranian, French, East European, Kannada, and other cinemas. We hold an annual smartphone filmmaking contest for students every June as part of our anniversary celebrations. Balpreet Kaur, who has curated this festival, will initiate the discussion. Balpreet is a writer, filmmaker, poet, voice artist, and university teacher. She has made documentaries for the Punjab government and corporate houses. She has written and directed 4 feature films for PTC box office called Hari Chutney, Mehana, Mera Kuch Saman, and Lockdown. She has won the Best Director Award for Lockdown and the Most Romantic Film Award for Mera Kuch Saman. She has just finished writing her 5th feature film. On the panel to initiate the discussion, we also have with us Ruchika Dhillon. Ruchika is a graduate in Persian language and literature from JNU Delhi. And last but not the least, we have a big surprise for you. A very special guest is going to join us around 9:45 p.m. So stay tuned in. Balpreet, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Geeta. And hi, everybody. Welcome to this session. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Hello?
Yes, you
Okay,
are audible, Balpreet.
right. So, the second film in this Punjabi Film Festival that I proposed was Gurinder Singh's Chauthi Koot. Gurinder Singh is one of the very celebrated filmmakers from Punjab. He has represented Punjab in at the Cannes and many other international film festivals. So, Chauthi Koot, as most of his cinema, he is very heavily inspired by Punjabi literature, and that's his speciality. He grew up in Delhi, so he didn't really have a close encounter with Punjabi rural life, but literature was his bridge to Punjab, really. So that's what he says. That's why he says that most of his cinema, all his cinema, is inspired by Punjabi literature. So this film, Chauthi Koot, it was screened at the Cannes, and it is based on 2 short stories by Varyam Singh Sandhu. He's one of the very well-known and better-known and very accomplished Punjabi short story writer. So this film is basically coming from 2 separate stories. One is called Chauthi Koot, and the second one is Main Hun Theek Haan, which means I'm fine now. So the interesting bit is that he has managed to kind of put together these 2 stories as separate stories, but the character, one character from one story takes us into the other story, and then we return to that character. Um, so you all have watched the film, and I don't know if I really need to get into the story. So I guess let's kick off the discussion right away. What do you say, Geeta?
Uh, would you like to say something else about the film before we actually begin the discussion, Balpreet?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as you all know, the 1980s was a very, very hard time for Punjab. It was submerged in this extremist movement, the Khalistani, the demand for Khalistan. And so, what this film is wanting to say is that this film, as per Gurinder Singh, the director, and as per my understanding also, does not really take sides. So it represents it represents the common man's angst and pain, and the common man's fear stricken life that was on in the 1980s in Punjab. So uh, there was this whole movement triggered by Janelle Singh Pindrawala, and he had a very strong following. In fact, even till today, we have many people in Punjab who really, really swear by his name. So so there was this major kind of battle between the government, the state, and Pindramala. So this movie is based around that time, just a little before a Golden Temple was taken over by the army at the orders of then Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And then lot of stuff followed, like Janelle Singh Pindrawala and his team, his mates, they were killed and killed in the on the Golden Temple premises, and the Golden Temple was all sealed. And then following that, later in 1984 October, Mrs. Indira Gandhi was assassinated related with this. So anyways, and then the whole setup of this whole fire, or the riots happened. uh, so this film basically tries to present the fear-stricken. There's this deafening silence in the film. There's this fear-stricken atmosphere of the film. Um, it's inside a home also, and then it's outside the home, that is the railway station and the train. Uh, so it starts off with two men who are wanting to travel from Chandigarh to Amritsar, and they travel till Firozpur by road, by bus, and then they're supposed to catch a train from Firozpur to Amritsar, which is 2.5 hours on the train, and they miss it. And then there is this last train which is going, and that is a time when nobody trusts nobody, basically everybody is scared, okay. This one might turn out to be some sort of an extremist. So in that situation, how they forcibly get on board the train, um, in the guards room. And so from their travel, we go into the story of the zamidar in Punjab. His name is Joginder Singh. And how a small thing like a little pet dog, his name is Tommy, how that dog becomes a major sore point for everybody in the film, in the story, in the sense that the dog keeps barking at the slightest of movement around the area. And how the extremists as well as the police somehow want them to get rid of the dog. So this whole struggle that the family is facing, going from the most simple emotions uh, of love and fondness for this pet dog, and how they are trying to get rid of the dog all the time. They have tried many times that they've left him in the marketplace, they've left him somewhere else, but he's always found his way back in. So against this whole atmosphere of distrust among human beings and killings among human beings, this family's there's this pet dog which just won't let go of this family, and no matter how badly it is treated. And the whole the metaphors that have been used, I find them, I think they are just brilliantly done. Of course, we'll get into the story and its details much later. So the story deals with the angle, the how the family struggles to get rid of the dog and finally realizes, comes back to its human emotions, um, and how they kind of deal with their fears, and how they try to find courage with from each other, and um, take a call, on how to lead their lives. So, and from there we come back to this first story, and how they find their way back to their homes where they have to reach, and how they find comfort with each other irrespective of their religions. So broadly, very very broadly, this is the story of the film. And I guess we can start off by asking each other that what was the aspect which touched them about the film?
Thank you so much, Balpreet. Ruchika, we would like to hear your,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
thank you. I just have broadly 2 points to make. One is about this film being a literary adaptation. I have actually read the stories also in Punjabi. Those are short
Oh, wow.
stories, both of them. Yeah, those are short stories, and I'm not sure if many of us here might have had a chance to go through them. But I just wanted to comment
That's
about
right. Hmm.
how this particular adaptation of the stories happens in a way that it largely changes the narration. For example, like one of the major examples would be the first story that's originally titled Chauthi Koot, where these couple of men are traveling by bus and then they reach the railway station. And that's the level one story in our film, is actually being narrated by one of these two fellow travelers. And we get to know about their identity much early on, that they're school teachers and they're traveling for work and they're common men. But the way it's being shot in the film, it's, you never know who is who. I wouldn't have been
Yeah.
surprised if these couple of men themselves were undercover
Ex-
police
ex-
or we never know. Like the short sequence in the train coach where everybody is uncomfortably looking at each other, although most of the analysis says that it's the Sikh men in the coach who are making the Hindu men uncomfortable, because that's the usual face of the separatists in the 80s. But that uncomfort can be extended to any character. So that's one thing. And second was how the actual first person narration, since that is not present in the film, the soundscape of the film tends to take on that role. So this use of non-diegetic sounds which tell the story, which which makes the story move forward without the visuals moving forward. So it's kind of a background narration. It's that role that soundscape tends to start playing. Then, of course, the film goes on in two levels. The story goes on in two levels, and it's interesting how the director has embedded one story within the other, which is how usually compiling short stories happen, that you juxtapose one character or one short from both the stories together. That was interesting to see. It's also the choice of the stories tend to give the two-way perspective, one from the sick person who's being threatened both by the CRPF and the militants who tend to just come to their house and announce their presence, and on the other hand the Hindu persons, their paranoia. So this coupling of the stories is interesting in that way. Then one more thing was about the style of the filmmaking. It's undoubtedly, you can see the Money Call remnants in Gurinder Singh's filmmaking. Money Call was his mentor for a few years, and the sparse dialogues, very limited dialogues. There's a
yeah.
vacant expression on faces most of the times. There's minimal performance. The choice of actors is mostly not trained actors. That presence, then the darkness of most of the shots are being, almost half the film goes on in darkness, and you can only see very limited figures on the screen. There are many night sequences, which goes on with the larger theme of conflict or in the film. And that's about it. Of course, there's the metaphor of the dog, which becomes the central metaphor of the film as well, about how for me, dog tended to represent the inner personal intimacies that are laid bare in such a conflict-ridden space where you have to every day, every moment, choose your loyalties, and you have to kill any intermediate love and intimacy that you might have for family. That's about it.
Yeah, very nice observations, Ruchika.
Thank you.
The silence, yeah. You're right, Ruchika. When the film begins and those two characters are sitting in the train, and then they are facing each other, and um, these two guys who miss their train. This guy who doesn't almost, I think he doesn't speak a single word, probably just once. You know, the other guy who's a little bald. I found his expressions, I mean, very interesting. Actually, you're right. When we say that we don't know who's who. So throughout till the end, we don't really know the intentions. We are like waiting, with bated breath that something's going to happen. And holding that stressful silence, holding that silence in the film, I think is something not very easily filmed. It's not very easy to film such a thing. It takes quite a courageous director to kind of create this kind of stuffed silence. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, it was a very difficult film to watch. I watched it, with my heart in my mouth throughout. There was so much tension in the film, and all of it, created through the atmospherics, like Ruchika said, with sparse dialogue and the night scenes, and you never know what's going to happen. And as a big time dog lover, it was again very difficult for me to watch the film, because I was, all the time thinking, now, are they going to kill the dog? What are they going to do to the dog? And, that slow mixing of the poison in the curd and all of that. And also, and also the way he hits the dog with the spade. Although, of course, the dog is not part of the frame in that scene, but then, the sound, the whining, the crying of that dog was really very painful. And as both of you have rightly pointed out, it's definitely a metaphor, for the tension and the anxiety and the pain of the common people of those times, given the very charged political situation. What I also found interesting was the title of the film, Chauthi Koot, that is, the fourth direction. So what is this fourth direction, like in the very opening scene, these two men who want to catch the train, they are, entering the frame from left to right. And then in the last scene, they are going from right to left.
Right to left.
Yeah. So, is this some kind of a reversal that is happening, or have they gone around in a circle and then, going back that way? So I thought that was quite intriguing. And so I think
that's a very interesting, that's a very interesting observation. I think, Geeta, the interesting thing about cinema or art, for that matter, is that sometimes we don't even know whether Gurvinder Singh did it, deliberately. But somehow the interesting thing about the art, the interesting thing about cinema is that it is so open to sometimes such mysteriously, such amazing stuff happens while we shoot the films. And then when we put it together, and then amazing metaphors and amazing new interpretations come in. and the audiences bring them in, and they add so much more layer and intrigue to a film. So yeah, this is quite an observation. Maybe, you know, when they're moving from left to right, they're going in the direction of fear. But when they're moving backward, like the other direction, maybe, you know, they have kind of conquered their fear to a certain level, and they are kind of united. They're all united and they're walking together. That could, maybe we could expand it to that.
Yeah. And then of course there are these two layers, you know, and the train scene is so claustrophobic, you know, like it's just closed windows, closed doors, and it's the guard compartment, so probably no windows as well. So it's extremely claustrophobic, and that I think is a stand-in for their own you know, mistrust of the other, um, and the tension, the anxiety that they are you know, having you know, by being forced into that space together, you know, those two Sikh gentlemen, and then the and there is not you know, if you look at the two stories, like there is no direct correlation, right, between the story of Jugal and the story of Joginder, you know, like he gets lost while
Suvinder Singh.
Joginder Singh, yeah, he gets lost while trying to make his way to his in-laws' place, and then in the night he's coming through this field, and then Joginder Singh very kindly walks with him in the middle of the night up to a point. And then, you know, like I was thinking probably something will happen to that couple with the child, but instead, you know, like the camera follows Joginder back to his house, and then you know that, gosh, something is going to be happening here. And then the entire story is of Joginder's family, except for the last couple of scenes where, you know, we are taken back to the train. So Ruchika, would you like to respond, or shall we take more questions, comments?
And just about the title, Chauthi Koot.
Yeah.
So it's also the title of the collection of the short stories that the writer published. And the short story ends, the one which is titled Chauthi Koot, it ends with Jugal Kishore saying that I led the way into the fourth direction, just like that person, which in our film is Joginder, but in his story is some other person, had led the way for me and my wife to the village. So that adaptation into the cinema is interesting. And just one thing I was thinking from this, that these narration styles almost for both the story are quite fragmentary, like the stories.
Yes.
Their postmodern nature comes out more clearly in the cinematic adaptation actually than it comes in the when you read the story. That's also interesting. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruchika, for bringing in this angle of adaptation, because I mean, like, probably except for Balpreet, none of us here has read the stories.
Ruchika has read the story.
Yeah. Any other
I would really request, I would love to see people's faces. It will be easier to speak to them, you know, if that is possible. Whoever can switch on their videos, it'll be so nice, because it's very difficult to talk to just names, you know. I mean, ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे सिर्फ हम चार लोग ही हैं जो बात कर रहे हैं, you know. So everybody's open to, it's open to everybody, and everybody can just, you know, butt in and kind of speak up.
Yeah, Nikhila, would you like to say something?
Yeah.
That's Rajin.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a couple of things to say, and some of this I think Ruchika has already pointed out. And thanks, Balpreet, once again for this wonderful choice of film. And Ruchika for all your insights. Again, as someone who has read these short stories, it's so important that you're filling in on the details which the film does not oblige. It just does not want to give us any of the backstories of any of these characters. So I found the film working in a mood of denial to the spectator. For instance, one is, of course, it will not tell much. It will not tell anything about the characters. Whatever we know is what we deduce, by the little bits of stray information that comes to us, that we have to gather and make sense of the film. So it's not obliging us with any information other than what we see of these characters at that moment. So it's so important, therefore, Ruchika, that you gave us some sense of who these characters are and all that. The second is also visually the way it denies information to us. For instance, there are many frames where the character is, many shots where the characters are looking out of the frame. The next logical shot that we would expect is that we will be shown, as spectators, we will be shown what these characters are looking at. So when you have a character look out of the frame, the following shot in the montage that we expect is what these characters are looking at. So you almost feel like begging, because the expressions change, or even if they don't, they're looking in a direction. So you want to know what is happening, and the film kind of denies that. So as you said, there are many Manikal touches to the film. The long shots, the long takes, the sparse dialogue, and the slowness, and it's a film that refuses to turn anything into an event. It's more about atmosphere building, which kind of heightens the tension. So in a way, nothing happens, and yet there's so much happening, so and to bring that out in a mode like this, I thought is wonderful. I had, in fact, in the department, we had screened his other film, Anhe Gore De Dan, I think. So
Anne Kore Dada.
yeah, so we had screened that film, and that was my first experience. Really, it's an experience of his filmmaking. So thanks again for Balpreet, for asking us to watch this film, and for many of the details and insights that you shared, Ruchika. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhila. Would Balpreet or Ruchika like to respond to Nikhila, or should we?
Gita, I would like you to meet Rajan Bhateja. He's
Hi, Rajan.
He's my my former colleague from my radio days. We used to do radio together. He's a theatre actor, and
Okay.
he's been an AD with some films. So Rajan also joined in today. And,
welcome, Rajan. Welcome so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
I'm
you.
really excited to have joined you. I didn't know about this platform before.
Okay.
So yes, and I've been listening to all of you very carefully, and I have seen this film when it was screened few days back in the Punjab Kala Bhavan sector, Chandigarh rather. Balpreet ma'am herself told me about it, so I went there, watched it, and as you also have pointed out that there is the element of silence which is prominent in the movie. So along with that silence, I would like to share 2 points that of my observation. One is that when you watch the movie, you, so the one thing is that you are outside, you are an outsider, and then you watch someone else's life on the screen. But when I watched this movie, I felt that I'm a part of it. So like every shot, every scene, it felt that I am there. And the um, during that silence, the expressions on the faces of the characters of the artists, I I could feel it, the same thing, in my heart. So um, and generally, when we watch a movie, we start watching it, we finish it, and later on we start pondering upon it. But the director gives an ample space, a space to the space and time to the audience also, to think while watching. So the shots are comparatively little longer, and there is no much shaking in the shots. They are stable, and they, as an audience, they let you see patiently and feel it, and at the same time give you this time and space to ponder upon it. So that's what I found the most interesting thing uh, about the way the film was directed.
Very
Thank
interesting,
you.
Rajan.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rajan. Yes.
Mm.
Any more comments, questions?
I still didn't get like the meaning of the title and how does it relate to the movie. Can you please tell me?
Ruchika, you want to say answer that because you read the stories also. Then I can
It's just the last sentence in that in the first story, that is the one that's titled Chauthi Koot, and then like the whole collection is also given that name. So it's just the last sentence where the narrator is saying that I led the way for my fellow travelers, just like that person at the village had led way for me and my wife towards the fourth direction. That's it. This
So why the fourth direction? Why the fourth?
I don't know myself. But again, my Punjabi is a bit weak also, so I might be missing out on something in that
Yeah,
singular
Myself.
sentence.
this is
Uh,
Sanjay. Yeah, yeah. May I say something?
Sanjay, please come up. Please come.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to switch on my camera, but it's not working somehow.
okay,
So,
that's no problem.
Normally, I was thinking that we think of sides, taking sides. Okay. So what is the positioning of this farmer there, Joginder Singh? That either you have to join the camp of the militants, or you have to be on the side of the armed forces, or you have to be independent. Okay. But these are the normally positions about which we think. So one can be on this side or that side, or sitting on the fence, or be independent. But all of them are problematic. Like if you be on the side of the militants, you will be enemy of armed forces and you can be harassed and killed. And you be on the side of armed forces, then militants will not leave you. And you can't be independent at the same time. So what is the fourth direction? That fourth direction is probably building the trust. Because from the beginning,
Yeah,
see these people, they are always like mistrustful to each other. They don't know what the other person is going to do. When they board the train, also this guard is very wary. He doesn't know. And firstly, these two people, they say, will you not allow your Hindu brethren? Like, and so what about the Sikh fellow then? So these two people, they enter first. But these Hindus, they also support. They said, let him also come, join. Okay. And so there was a tension, and I was thinking immediately, first of all, when he says that he's going to Amritsar, Now, the first thing which came to my mind as, you know, a reader of Hindi literature, Amritsar aa gaya hai. That is the famous short story of Bhishma Sani, where, you know, that finally Amritsar comes and these people are sitting in the train, and there is a Hindu, then he starts like, you know, shouting and being aggressive the moment Amritsar comes. Okay, till then he has been sitting quietly. So there is something going to happen in Amritsar, or when they are going to Amritsar. And they have been always asking for the direction, asking for the destination, whether they will reach or not. So if you see, like, they are almost stranded at the railway platform, and the number of platform is 4. Platform number 4. They are sitting on the bench, and the camera shows it so many times. This is platform number 4. Okay, they are going. I was thinking about this Chauthi Koot, and then again platform number 4. That is also 4th. Okay, they board the train, and they are, you know, always in doubt whether the other fellow is going to do some aggression, or we are in trouble. We are going to be in trouble or not. It doesn't happen, and we have another story to tell. In that story, we find that again someone is searching for the directions, searching for the destination, and this person, who is in the first story, they're sitting in the train with his wife and child. He has lost the direction, so he's asking for the direction. Again, in the middle of the story, when the people are on the tractor, they are also asking for the direction. So it's like this kind of trope which has been used throughout the film, asking for the direction, talking about the destination, and also an anxiety, whether they will reach the destination or not, whether they are going in the right direction or not. So which is the 4th direction? If you see the scene, last scene, again, these fellows, these 2 fellows, they boarded the train, and they immediately got off the train, and they are almost like running, okay, fleeing away. And these other 6 fellows, they are lagging behind. Then these 2 people, they come, they join. Then they ask, why are you in so much hurry? Why are you running, like, you know, from us? You should have waited for us. And then the 3rd Sardaji also, he comes and he says that, why didn't you wait for us? So this is the trust that you have to build, okay? They're all scared of each other. And that's not the way you can live in the society. You have to build the trust. And that's the 4th direction, I think. And another point about
that's a beautiful
that
that's a beautiful
at the same
observation.
time, yeah. So when I was thinking about Amritsar aa gaya hai, the short story, I was also thinking about another short story, since there is a dog involved here, the dog of Titwal ka kutta. That's the short story of Manto, where Indians are there on this side and Pakistanis are there, forces, and they are firing at each other. And then a dog comes, and they are confused whether this dog is from Pakistan or from India. Okay, so very interesting story. So on which side? So the dog is like here, as we understand, and we have already discussed that it's a metaphor for the common people. Like, what do they do finally? Do they join the militants, or they go with the armed forces? What are they going to do? Okay, so in whatever option they take, they will be in trouble in any way. So like, I was thinking whether they are going to kill the dog or not, and then after some time I realized that dog will not be killed, because it's like, you know, the common man, and the dog is barking. Okay, whenever there is any trouble, the dog is barking, keeps on barking. Okay, whether it is armed forces, they do not like the dog. First, we see that militants don't like the dog, and militants are saying that armed forces are like dogs, they are saying. So it's like othering. And then the armed forces, they don't like the dogs. Okay, so what is like, you know, the position of the dog? It's like killing oneself. Okay, when he hits, Joginder Singh hits the dog, he is actually hitting himself. It's almost like self. It's a kind of masochistic behavior. Okay, because he can identify. He says that he says Puttar. Puttar is his son. Almost the dog. So hitting the dog is like almost hitting yourself. You are the dog. You are the poor dog. You don't know where to go. You are asking for the direction in life. Okay, so that's the agony which has been highlighted in the film, I think. Yeah, that's all what I had to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Also, sir, just one thing about the way the dog dies eventually. I think the way that story was building on, it was inevitable for the dog to be physically manhandled and killed by this owner. The poison wouldn't do it. Leaving it away from the town wouldn't do it. Because the way the metaphor was built of the dog, I think it was the resolution to the logic of the narration was that he must be violently killed in that act of helplessness.
I don't think the dog died really. I think it was very badly injured. I think they were just trying to get rid of it, or where were they taking it? I don't know. That stayed a little bit of a mystery.
No, but
Um,
they cover it with a bori.
Yeah,
which
but I
shows-
thought he moved when they put him in the tractor.
Yeah,
Uh,
he moved when it was put in the tractor. Yeah, that's right. He backed. His tail was also moving when we see the bori in the morning. When there are these flies on it.
Yeah.
It is very badly
actually,
wounded. It is very badly wounded. Yeah.
but they actually couldn't, see actually that dog. So maybe I don't know how they managed to.
Okay. Any
Anybody
other
else? Any
comments?
Yeah, can I say something?
Yes, Ajanta, please.
Sure.
Most
Good
welcome.
afternoon. Yes, it's raining in Tamil Nadu very heavily, so my
Here
connectivity is
also.
not very good. Yeah. So first of all, yes, really to both of you, thanks, and to Miss Balpreet Kaur, what a fantastic film. I have never seen a Gurvinder Singh film before. I'm seeing this for the first time. And immediately, because of the way in which militancy in Tamil Nadu, it brought back so many connections. Yes, and this having to choose between one side or the other. And I was especially reminded by, of a documentary on the great, Sri Lankan activist Rajani Tiranagama. Have you heard of her? Don't weep, sister. So, it's a very, very moving film. But Geeta, can I make a somewhat, not a very film literate comment? I want to talk about something else. Can I do that? Is
Yeah,
that
please go
All
ahead.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like you,
sure.
I'm a
Please go ahead.
huge dog lover, yeah. And I want to say something which you might find really audacious. So we are actually reading the Dipesh Chakraborty book called The Climate of History. Yeah. And in some ways, I want to just throw this out. And I'm sure, this is probably a kind of very far-fetched interpretation. Now, Dipesh's point is that the climate crisis is, of course, in some ways, the end point, history as we've seen it, why should a dog, in a sense, always be a metaphor of the history of man? One of the ways in which history writing, in a sense, kind of blinds us, and the COVID pandemic was such a great instance of this, is that these in so-called inferior forms of life are not inscribed into history, right? And I was actually reminded of the film White Dog. So repeatedly in many, many cultures, animals sort of become metaphoric of us. What if instead of what Professor Sanjay and Professor Sanjay and Miss Kaur and Ruchika, all of you suggested, what if instead it's, the dog showing us the way? What if there are modes of being which are in effect, a way of being in the world which is not inscribed by notions of belonging that are in some ways necessarily programmed for war. So Deepesh's argument is, and also this fantastic book by the Stanford historian of Priya Setia. History itself, in some ways, teaches us to normalize certain things. So given that I work at an engineering college and technologies, and so climate change really is a big thing. So what if really, in a sense, our political formations are always already colonized? And how do we then inscribe these so-called inferior forms of living, whether they're trees or fungi or dogs, into reimagining history? Because we've now in some ways reached an endpoint. And I also want to tell you something else that's really exciting. So this is now Space Week. So on VIT campus and everywhere else, we're having sort of, Gaganyaan and Chandrayaan and, the Mars rover. So what if it's not a space race? What if we can actually imagine ways of being in the world that are not, in some ways. So I have she's a maestro and I have no knowledge of Punjabi literature, but first of all, thank you for choosing and for Ruchika for all these fantastic comments. One, it touched me deeply just being in Tamil Nadu, but also because I teach in a STEM college and we are doing things that in some ways, militancy used to be a big thing in Tamil Nadu too. But, like Boko Haram, for instance, directly related to the fact that Lake Chad is now 80% gone. So I think there are so many interconnecting histories, and I just wanted to throw that up if anybody finds it at all worth responding to. But thank you so much, TFO and everybody. It's been great.
Thank you, Ajanta. Since you spoke about interconnected histories, I was reminded of the scene in the film when they are watching the news. And I think the headlines also are trying to say something, creating a narrative, the way they are put together, it's Punjab, then it moves to Sri Lanka, and then I think it moves to South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, the director is also making a statement there, by putting together all conflict-ridden places together. He's kind of creating a narrative there.
Geeta?
Yes, Balpreet, please go ahead.
So, the guy who plays the protagonist, Suvinder Vicky, he's wanting to join in. So
Yeah,
he
please.
just yeah. So he just messaged me, but right now I don't know. I'm not able to get through to him. So just give me a bit. Meanwhile, you please go ahead, and you want to introduce him once he joins.
Yes,
I think that'll be a better idea.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah. I'll just call.
Yeah. Any other comments, questions? Faniraj, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I mean,
yes, please go ahead.
I just want to add one thing to what that said about the travel. Actually, the Manto's story, where it's a Lahore journey from Lahore to Amritsar. So, the train which starts in the morning reaches Amritsar in the evening, where that Ashish Nandi makes an analysis there that the time, the distance between Lahore and Amritsar is very short. The trains take so long that one first sentence itself tells the horrendous violence which took place in that train, which travels from Lahore to Amritsar. So that as Manto packs it in his first sentence, this particular film packs the existentialist reality of a ordinary farmer or any Punjab Sikh during that very difficult time. It's a very difficult time for them, because as Sanjay told, I also understood CHAUTHI KOOT like that. I mean, since not having read that story, I too understood CHAUTHI KOOT is in search for a fourth direction, where two directions are there and third is very existentialist tension. So there is somehow the way. but that way is also, I mean, as far as Gurvinder, that way also is not easy. I mean, it's not a kind of a romantic search for that, because that is also led with a lot of tension, because the way both the couple approaches that house and the way Joginder first understand them, then how his mother has to come and convince him that it's okay, because we don't understand at first, but later nights, the anxiety in the house whenever some noise happens outside, it means anything. It means anything, that anything can come from the darkness, because the whole atmospherics is darkness. So of course the two stories. I mean, if yeah, uh, as she told me, since we have not read the story, but in the film, in the script, the interconnects work well, and work so well at the end, because that particular edit I liked so much. Like they carrying the dog and suddenly it cuts to the train and bring back all the pathos into the train, and the people sitting in the train, and that guy saying that you should get off here because you should not land me in trouble. So whole through the film, that kind of existentialist tension permeates through. And secondly, is sort of silence. And again, Nikhila said they did show Anna Goradan in the and come to Chauthi Koot. In fact, it is amenable to audience when you see Anna Goradan, because Anna Goradan uses darkness and the tension of the darkness, the tension between the upper caste and the Dalits, and the silence of the night, and that's formalistically much more powerfully used in Anegoradan, because and for untrained audience and one who is not trained with Mani Kaul's style of filmmaking and formalist kind of filmmaking, Anegoradan, no reference again to the Dalit violence which has occurred in Punjab, which he takes it as a background in Anegoradan. Unless you know that history of Dalit massacre there, and the tension which is building there, but he wants to show it through formalistic thing, because Gurvinder is one of the rare species, because he's the one who is keeping Mani Kaul's idea of film as a formalist force. So Gurvinder is always, and what bothers me much more, while I am seeing this film for the second time for this discussion, but what pinches me when I look for second time is NFDC is gone, because one who can fund this kind of film and one who can strengthen the formalist films, and that is where the art of film lies. Gurvinder is lost now, because Gurvinder is committed to make films like that, but this is much more less formalistic than Anegoradan, because Anegoradan, the silence is much more longer, much more prolonged, and the night and the darkness of the night itself speaks. I mean, the silence of the dark is the sound in Anagoradan. Here also he uses it, but whenever he uses it, it's a measured silence. I call it as, in Eisenstein's terms, Eisenstein uses visuals as rhythmic editing, but here he has used silence rhythmically. You can see the rhythm of silence. I mean, from the very first act to the last, you see that when they are anxiously coming towards, I mean, in the first scene, you don't know why they are running. I mean, what is the anxiety for them? We come to know it only when they miss the train. But you can see that there's a loss of sound there when they get down the bus and run to the station, and you can see a merry marriage party going on and they getting out of it. So, but once they come to the station, you can see a kind of a silence. There's a palpable silence that is very rhythmic, and especially once it connects to the second story, the couple walking in the darkness. I mean, of course, Gurvinder uses darkness. I mean, the best use of darkness is in Gurvinder's film with minimal lighting. I'm not sure. I heard that he uses natural lighting. Using that in that particular sense, in the search for direction, they have missed the direction, and they are also so apprehensive about the whole situation. Nobody is there. It's a pitch dark. silence, but a kind of hope and kind of frustration, because they also know that this is the background in which they are traveling, and a cursing that they should have started much earlier. And finally, that leading to Joginder taking them, and while he leads them and also comes back, a measured length of silences that breaks when you see the very tumultuous scene when armed forces come and attack. So it's a lot of sound, lot of talk, and post that the connected scene wherein the talk about the young guys saying that we should join the militancy, otherwise why we should live like this. You see a lot of dialogue when militants comes, lot of dialogue post attack. So you can see the words only when they have no meaning, and the violence. Words becomes violence. Silence becomes a kind of a tension of existentialist reality of a normal farmer. So I call it as rhythmic silence, because he uses silence so rhythmically throughout the film. It requires, I think, many more watching, because there is a metric, and I'm sorry, there is a rhythm in building the silence, and that slaps on your face at the end of a scene, slaps on the face at the end of a scene. Because even if he leaves them and comes back, you can see that it is broken by the barking dog, and then all of a sudden the silence all through the film. That is one thing which for watching for the second time, which caught me very well. And the dog, of course, dog has been used as a metaphor, as rightly Sanjay told, in the Dog of Titwal, and in many more. In Chaplin also, the dog represents existentialist reality of a common man. Here, dog, I think, I mean, each audience can have their own view of the dog, but it's a family space, dog family, because everybody wants it in the family, but everybody don't want it in the family. It's kind of a darkness about the whole situation, where darkness is ridden within, and the dog is only an alarm for that, an expression for that, because it is a part of that. They want to kill it, but they cannot. So it is like a dog existence they are managing with. Dog is the only outlet which gives you out. Otherwise, they want to hide it and suppress it in such a manner, but always it's broken by militants, by armed forces, so on and so forth. So this kind of rhythmic silence, like Anagora, the rhythmic darkness, a rhythmic silence, Gruvinder masters that. In fact, I think it was most, I mean, it was one who have seen Anagora Dan. Actually, Chauthi Koot is a more formalistically accessible, who is not trained in Manikaul school. It is formally accessible, but I loved the rhythm of the darkness and silence.
Thank you very much, Fani Raj, for your detailed reading of the film. Any more Balpreet, did you manage to get through to Suvinder Vicky?
Yeah, he's just joined us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so here is our surprise guest, Suvinder Pal Vicky, the actor who plays the role of Joginder. A warm welcome to you from TFO. Suvinder Pal is best known for his roles in Chauthi Koot, Milestone, that is the film we will be watching coming Saturday, Kesari, Udta Punjab, Super Singh, and others. Once again, welcome Vicky. We are very happy to have you here with us.
We appreciate this. This is TFQ, right?
TFO, Talking Films Online.
Talking Films Online, right? I'm Suvinder Vicky. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Suvinder Vicky here, and thank you so much. So yeah, we can continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, now that he's here, if any of you have a question specifically for the actor, please go ahead.
Like any audience, I want to ask Vicky, how difficult it is to act for Gurvinder? Because you have acted in Urta Punjab, but you have acted with Gurvinder. But it's an experience, entirely a different experience with Gurvinder.
Yeah. Obviously, it was brilliant, and it was a different experience for me to act in Chauthi Koot with Gurvinder. Because films like Chauthi Koot and Milestone I have done, वो फिल्में क्या है कि मतलब थोड़ा सा क्या एक्टर को एक जोन से थोड़ा अलग करती हैं, मतलब आपको थोड़ा से उस नेचुरल जोन में लेके जाती हैं जहाँ पे कुछ एक्टिंग नाम की कोई चीज नहीं होती है, राइट? So it was tough, it was difficult for me to handle for few days. शूटिंग का कुछ दिन मेरे लिए थोड़ा सा मुश्किल था, क्योंकि हम लोग क्या है कि पंजाब
Did we lose you?
Yeah, I think we just lost him.
Yeah, I think we have just. In fact, it said there that Suvinder's bandwidth is low.
I think he's back now.
He's back.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Hanji, you may continue.
It was a great experience for me to working with Gurvinder ji. So
आपका सर कनेक्शन चला गया था। आप बता रहे थे कि शुरू के दिनों में, शूट के शुरू के दिनों में आपको मुश्किलें आई, वो किस वजह से आई थी, वो आप बता रहे थे, तो उसको प्लीज बता दीजिए।
मुश्किलें इन द सेंस के जब हम लोग, क्योंकि मैं एक कमर्शियल अगर पंजाबी सिनेमा की बात करूं या हम थिएटर बैकग्राउंड की बात करें, राइट, तो उससे जब निकल के आप कुछ किसी ऐसी फिल्म का हिस्सा बनते हैं जो कि वेरी क्लोज टू लाइफ एंड विच इज वेरी नेचुरल, तो उसमें कहीं ना कहीं एज एन एक्टर आपको उसमें घुसने के लिए कुछ टाइम चाहिए होता है
जी।
This kind of these were the problems जो मुझे फेस करनी पड़ी उस टाइम। 2-3 days, it was a great experience for me.
What kind of preparation did you have to make for this role, Suvinder ji?
So I didn't get your question. Can you repeat what?
Yeah, no, I was asking, किस तरह के preparation, what kind of preparation you had to make to play this role of Joginder?
हाँ, preparation देखिए, एक्टर का एक preparation जो एक जनरल रहता ही है कि about the script and about the character, और थोड़ा बहुत जो मुझे उसमें मेहनत करना पड़ा। So are you getting me?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Is that Tommy there?
थोड़ा सा जो मुझे प्रेपरेशन करना पड़ा, क्योंकि एक लैंग्वेज थी उसमें। अब पंजाब में क्या है कि माझा मालवा दुआबा, हम 3 उसमें इसको कैटेगरीज में डिस्क्राइब करते हैं। तो ये कहानी तरन तारन, अमृतसर के पास तरन तारन की कहानी थी। तो मुझे थोड़ा सा उसमें लैंग्वेज, क्योंकि मैं मालवा से बिलोंग करता हूँ, सो हालांकि गुरविंदर ने बोला था कि पाजी आप पंजाबी फिल्म कर रहे हैं, मतलब इसमें कुछ ऐसा नहीं है, पर फिर भी मतलब एज एन एक्टर मुझे लगा कि यार चलो जो कोई कल को माझे वाला देखेगा तो वो कहेगा कि यार ठीक है, इस एक्टर ने एटलीस्ट लैंग्वेज पे मेहनत किया है। एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट my preparation was that with the dog, yeah, obviously, with Tommy, मतलब I have to really work hard for the that क्योंकि जब वो अभी छोटा पपी था तो जब उसके साथ मुझे इंटरेक्शंस करना पड़ता था क्योंकि उसके साथ मेरा काफी काम था। तो वो एक छोटा पपी था, जब वो 6-7 महीने 8 महीने जहाँ पे वो पलता था तो मैं जाता था वहां पे, उसके साथ इंटरेक्शंस करता था ताकि उसको लगे कि कल को जब शूट होगा तो मेरे साथ वो फैमिलियर हो जाएगा। सो एंड देन अगेन with the co-actors and these kind of preparations were there.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
And Vicky ji, and in fact, coming from theater, working with good people like Suvinder, acting before the camera and his use of silence and where the acting requires much restraint. I just want to tell you an anecdote what is told of Girish Karnad. Okay, Girish Karnad now very being very famous for his film acting.
Obviously,
but he also acted in stage. Okay, but somebody commented to him, his friend commented to him saying that your acting in film is much more better than your acting in theater because your theater acting is very poor. Then Girish told, जी अब मैं एक्टर नहीं हूँ, मुझे एक्टिंग नहीं आता है, कैमरा के आगे
हाँ
एक्टिंग करना बहुत इजी है क्योंकि उधर गया तो इसलिए मुझे बहुत ये नाम मिला फिल्म में, नहीं तो मैं एक्टर नहीं हूँ ऐसा। तो वो थिएटर बैकग्राउंड से जो आता है उसको ये हिस्ट्रियानिक्स को बहुत कंट्रोल करना पड़ता है कैमरा का सामने। तो वो तो वो जोक था, आई मीन वो एनेक्डोट जो था उस गिरीश कार्नाड ने बोला वो ठीक था, आई मीन वो जोक।
एग्जैक्टली, यू आर राइट सर, बिकॉज क्या है कि जब थिएटर में काम करते हैं तो क्या है कि सामने ऑडियंस बैठा है, राइट? तो सामने ऑडियंस बैठा है तो उसके लिए क्या है कि एक्टर थोड़ा सा सेल्फिश भी हो जाता है कि यार मुझे कुछ इम्प्रोवाइज करना है या मुझे कुछ तालियां लेनी है ना? तो वो एक एक्टर की ये भूख होती है, मुझे लगता है कि दैट हंगर ऑफ दैट क्लैप एंड क्लैपिंग्स एंड शोर और सब, तो वो आपको थिएटर में क्या है कि आमने सामने मिल जाता है सब। जब आप परफॉर्म कर रहे होते हैं तो स्ट्रेट अवे यू कैन गेट दैट रिस्पॉन्स के you are doing good, you are doing not good, you are doing bad, whatever. तो लेकिन सिनेमा क्या है, सिनेमा में थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है कि जब फिल्म बनेगी, रिलीज होगी, उसके बाद आपको उसका फीडबैक मिलेगा कि क्या है भाई, तुमने क्या किया। तो यस, यू आर ट्रूली गुड एनफ। गिरीश जी ने ये जो बात बोली है वो किसी हद तक सच भी है और किसी हद तक सही है, क्योंकि हम लोग क्या है कि थोड़ा सा मॉड्यूल करना पड़ता, अपने आप को ढालना पड़ता उस सिचुएशन में। कैमरा के सामने एक्टिंग और थिएटर में एक्टिंग क्वाइट अ डिफरेंट थिंग, राइट सर?
अच्छा विकी, एज अ मुझे हमेशा एक क्यूरियोसिटी होती है, जो थोड़ी बहुत फिल्में मैंने बनाई है या मैंने स्ट्रगल की है एक्टर्स ढूंढने में, हमेशा मुझे लगता है कि साइलेंस होल्ड करना, और वो भी लंबे अरसे के लिए साइलेंस होल्ड करना एक अच्छे एक्टर का मुझे लगता है बहुत मेजर ये यार्डस्टिक होता है। आपने माइलस्टोन भी, जो हम देखने जा रहे हैं अगले हफ्ते, माइलस्टोन में भी बहुत साइलेंसेस हैं और इस फिल्म में भी बहुत साइलेंसेस हैं। एज एन एक्टर आपके लिए ये कितना इजी या डिफिकल्ट होता है टू होल्ड सच इंटेंस साइलेंस? तो अब जब कैमरा आपके ऊपर है और आपको साइलेंस होल्ड करनी है, तो आप उसको कैसे अप्रोच करते हो? क्या आप सोचते हो कि कैरेक्टर क्या सोच रहा है, मैं वो सोचूं? हाउ डू यू डील विद इट?
सी बलप्रीत, मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि ये चीजें ना ये चीजें जब आप इस काम में पढ़ते हो, राइट, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं विद द एक्सपीरियंस वो चीजें आपके अंदर आपको डेवलप करनी पड़ती है। और क्या है कि एकदम से आपने बोला तो मैंने भी एक दो सेकंड का साइलेंस लिया उसमें। आपने जो जितना क्वेश्चन पूछा मुझसे उसमें मुझे 2 सेकंड लगे टू गेट योर क्वेश्चन, राइट। तो क्योंकि क्या है, रिस्पॉन्स है, इट्स गिव एंड टेक, दैट है। आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा, मैंने उसका आंसर किया। सो ये उसके बीच का जो साइलेंस है डिपेंड करता है कि आपका डायरेक्टर क्या चाहता है, या आपका स्क्रिप्ट क्या डिमांड कर रहा है, या आपका जो एक पेस चल रहा है फिल्म का वो क्या डिमांड कर रहा है। तो उसी हिसाब से हमें वो चीजें थोड़ी बहुत मतलब वो कन्वर्ट करनी पड़ती हैं चीजें कि डू रिक्वायर्ड मोर साइलेंस। हालांकि फिल्म्स लाइक पंजाब में जैसे होती हैं तो डायलॉग पे डायलॉग चढ़ा होता है। वो ऐसे लगता है कि मतलब जैसे पता होता है एक्टर को कि इसने क्या बोलना है। अगर हम नेचुरल सिनेमा की बात करें तो नेचुरलिटी की बात करें तो जब हम किसी को सुनेंगे, सुन के रजिस्टर करेंगे ना, सुनेंगे, कानों से सुना, देन दिमाग में कहीं वो डिपेंड करता है कि वो कितने सेकंड्स में आप वो चीज रजिस्टर करते हो और कितने सेकंड्स में या आप उस चीज को आंसर करते हो, राइट। आपके हो सकता है आपके सवाल को मैंने 2 सेकंड या 4 सेकंड में कर दिया। गुरविंदर चाहता हो कि नहीं मैं सवाल सुनूं, सुन के फिर मैं आई हैव टू थिंक अबाउट दैट कि मुझे क्या आंसर करना है ना। तो वो जो एक इन बिटवीन साइलेंस है विच इज वेरी इफेक्टिव इन दीज डेज। आई पर्सनली फील दैट दीज डेज क्या मतलब जो सिनेमा मैं कर रहा हूँ या जो चीजें मैं कर रहा हूँ तो उस जो फिल्म मैं कर रहा हूँ तो उसमें मुझे ये चीज लगती है कि नहीं आप सुनने के बाद आप कम से कम उसको होल्ड करो, रजिस्टर करो, रिएक्शन उस पर रिएक्ट करो पहले, फिर बोलो। तो फिल्म्स लाइक चौथी कूट माइल उसमें तो खैर डायलॉग बाजी बहुत कम है, मतलब आपको आंसर ही नहीं करना है, आप अपने खाली फेस से ही बहुत कुछ कह देते हो। तो मैं कहता हूँ कि
पूछ रही थी कि
हाँ
एक सीन था इस मूवी में चौथी कूट में जिसमें वो एक मुझे काफी साइलेंट स्पेसेस थे, लेकिन एक सीन जो मेरे जहन में रह गया है वो ये है कि जब वो सीढ़ियां चढ़ के ऊपर जाता है तो वो अपने कोठे पे घूमता है और फिर वो कहीं
घूमता है,
दूर देखता है
हाँ,
कुछ।
बाहर देखता है कहीं, है ना।
हाँ
हाँ वो क्या है कि वो
हाँ
he was affected from that incident के जब वो जो ये लोग आते हैं उसके घर पे, ठीक है, उसके बाद उसको लगता है कि मतलब वो, हालांकि वही एक ऑरा क्रिएट किया गया था इसमें कि अब कुत्ता भौंका तो मतलब कहीं ना कहीं कि कहीं दोबारा तो नहीं हो रहा है ये सब। फिर वो वापस जाता है, फिर देखता है छत के ऊपर जाके दूर कहीं देखता है। तो वो उस तरह की चीजें जो हैं वो थोड़ा सा एक ये है कि वो एक एटमॉस्फेयर क्रिएट करती हैं चीजें कि क्योंकि माहौल ऐसा था। अब उस माहौल को दर्शाने के लिए उसमें साइलेंस बड़ा जरूरी था, क्योंकि उस वक्त सारी चुप्पी थी ना। मतलब जिस टाइम की ये बात कर रही है ये फिल्म, उस टाइम पे तो सब चुप थे, मतलब बहुत कम बोलना, बहुत ही अंडर मतलब रिएक्शंस, अंडर बात करना, वो सारी चीजें तो वो उसी चीज से ही जाहिर होंगी कि आप कितना होल्ड कर सकते हो, आप कितना वो। हालांकि इस तरह के सीन्स जो होते हैं या इस तरह की चीजें हैं वो एक्टर के लिए मुझे लगता है डिफिकल्ट होती हैं कि उसके पास डायलॉग नहीं है, बट यस यू हैव टू रिएक्ट द सिचुएशन, राइट।
वही मैं, ये आपके लिए बहुत बड़ा कॉम्प्लीमेंट ही है विकी, कि मैं वही कह रही थी कि इस तरह एक्टर्स का मीनिंगफुल साइलेंस को होल्ड करना आसान नहीं है। बहुत कुछ चाहिए एक एक्टर में टू होल्ड अ मीनिंगफुल साइलेंस। ये बहुत मतलब डिफिकल्ट काम है एक एक्टर के लिए। और मेरे ख्याल से एक डायरेक्टर के लिए भी इस चीज को दर्शाना, खूबसूरती से दर्शाना, ये भी अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा टैलेंट है। एक डायरेक्टर की
अच्छा,
वो भी।
अभी इसमें क्या है ना, मैं डायरेक्टर अगर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू पे आएंगे ना, तो मुझे लगता है कि डायरेक्टर उसका काम डन होता है, मतलब उन्होंने काम किया हुआ है। हो सकता है 1.5 साल से स्क्रिप्ट पे काम कर रहे हैं। जब तक वो स्क्रिप्ट एक्टर के पास आती है तो उसको टाइम बहुत कम मिलता है। मतलब उनको इतना टाइम मिलता है कि यार आपके पास 1 महीना है या मैक्सिमम। आजकल तो खैर वो भी नहीं है कि 10-12 दिन में, हफ्ते 10 दिन में आपको अपना कैरेक्टराइजेशन, ये वो वर्कशॉप्स ये सब करना पड़ता है। लेकिन चलो गुरविंदर के टाइम पे ये था कि, बट मुझे ये था कि ये बंदा जो है, मैं एक चीज बोलता हूँ इसमें कि जब चौथी कूट के लिए मेरी ये हुई थी, तो मैं ऑडिशन देने के लिए गया था अन्य कोड़े दान, गुरविंदर की फर्स्ट फिल्म।
हाँ,
गुरविंदर की फर्स्ट फिल्म थी अन्य कोड़े दान। सो उसके लिए मैं ऑडिशन देने गया था। तो चलो उसमें नहीं हुआ मेरा, बट कहीं ना कहीं गुरविंदर ने ये सोच लिया था कि नेक्स्ट फिल्म के लिए ये मेरा किरदार है, हो सकता है। सो अगर अन्य कोड़े दान स्क्रिप्ट हुई, फिर वो फिल्म शूट हुई, फिर वो रिलीज हुई, तो उस बीच में आप लगा लो कि 1-1.5 साल का टाइम उनको लगा होगा चौथी कूट के लिए, राइट? तो लेकिन मेरे पास वो जब स्क्रिप्ट आई तो मेरे पास तो 1 महीने ही था। तो मुझे मैं हमेशा क्या है कि आई ऑलवेज मैं लेके चलता हूँ कि मैं एक डायरेक्टर का एक्टर हूँ। मैं हमेशा सोच के चलता हूँ कि मैं कठपुतली हूँ भाई, नचाना है जैसे नचा लो, जैसे करवाना है करवा लो। मुझे कुछ नहीं आता है, मुझे कुछ नहीं आता है। तो ऐसे मैंने गुरविंदर को भी बोला, मैंने कहा भाजी कर लांगे, बट तुसी दसना है जितना करना है, क्योंकि अब 1.5 साल 2 साल आपने एक बच्चे को पाला है, तो मैं 1 महीने में कैसे उस बच्चे को उतना पालने लायक हो जाऊंगा कि जितना वो 1.5-2 साल से पाल रहे हैं, है ना? तो वही एक चीज, एक कमिटमेंट है। मतलब मैं समझता हूँ कि एक्टर हैज टू बी कमिटेड, मतलब उसको एक कमिटमेंट होनी चाहिए कि जो भी है, जो आप कर रहे हो उसको एक पूरी ईमानदारी के साथ, और जितनी आपकी कैपेबिलिटी है अपना 100% देके आप करो, तो कहीं ना कहीं चीजें आपके फेवर में बोलती हैं। That was the reason.
Sorry, Balpreet. Yeah, Tarkeshwar has raised his hand. Please come in, Tarkeshwar.
The discussion was quite interesting. First time I think we are having a actor's perspective on the film here. So I hate to intervene, but because you asked me, I would have waited for this discussion to be over. But anyway,
yes,
the point that I wanted to make was about the adaptation. Though I have not read the short stories, what the discussion went on told me that it was a first-person narration in the stories. So one of the characters is telling the story, but when it comes on screen, no one is telling the story. It's camera which tells the story to us. And whenever camera also is capable of taking the place of one of the characters when it likes. So one is, as a neutral observer, it shows. Sometimes it also shows us things from the point of view of the character. So this shift from first-person narration to telling the story through the camera visuals, what it does to the story in the short story and then in the film. If somebody can throw light on that, it would be quite interesting, I thought. That was one point. And the second point was about the characters. So most of the characters have their own position. So it is not that all the characters don't have a position about the conflict. They take sides. They have a position. But consciously, the narrative doesn't endorse any of the positions, but it also doesn't condemn any of the positions too, directly or indirectly. It allows only through that metaphor of dog to make some comments about it. But we see the characters also oscillating between the two positions. Even the Suvinder character is supposed to be neutral, but he is also harboring them. But when that Golden Temple incident happens, he joins the protest, but when there is a lot of charge, he comes back. So there is an oscillation within the character. So in that sense, it is not completely value neutral. The film narrative too. So it allows characters to hold positions on these issues.
Yeah, you are true, sir. कई बार क्या होता है कि हेलो
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Vicky ji.
हाँ, अगर मैं इसको मतलब थोड़ा नटशेल में या उसमें डिस्क्राइब करना चाहूँ, तो कई बार क्या होता है कि सिनेमा इज व्हाट आई थिंक इट्स नॉट अ वन पर्सन मीडिया, राइट? ये एक डायरेक्टर का नहीं है, एक प्रोड्यूसर का नहीं है, एक कैमरामैन का नहीं है, एक एक्टर का नहीं है, ये कंबाइन एफर्ट है जहां तक मुझे लगता है। कई बार क्या होता है कि हम एक्टरों को भी बड़ा सेक्रीफाइस करना पड़ता है। हम लोग कई बार सोचते हैं कि नहीं इसको ऐसे हो सकता है, ये चीज ऐसे हो सकती है, बट डायरेक्टर जो अपना एक अपनी आंख से देख रहा है तो उसको लगता है कि नहीं पाजी ये मुझे ऐसे ही मैंने ऐसे सोचा है और मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव इसमें ये है, मुझे ऐसे ही करना है। तो यू हैव टू डू दैट, यू हैव टू डू दैट। हमारी सिचुएशन क्या है कि somehow मतलब इट्स अप टू द मार्क ऑल्सो। और कई बार हम लोग शॉर्ट दे के आते हैं तो मुझे कई बार ये चीज लगती है कि यार नहीं मैंने अच्छा नहीं किया, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं पता कि एडिट कैसे होना है, कैसे डायरेक्टर ने क्या सोचा है या क्या हो रहा है। मैं तो एज एन एक्टर सोचता हूँ ना कि मुझे अपनी परफॉर्मेंस से के लिए मैं अपनी परफॉर्मेंस के लिए मुझे उसमें अपना वो है। तो लेकिन डायरेक्टर बोलता ओके तो ठीक है, ओके सर। तो अभी somehow कई बार ये होता है कि डायरेक्टर भी बैक सीट पे है, एक्टर भी बैक सीट पे है, कैमरामैन फ्रंट सीट पे है। तो वो कहता है कि नहीं मेरा ये शॉट है भाई, ये मेरी लाइटिंग है, ये ऐसे है और दिस इज माय शॉट एंड दिस इज माय एंगल, तो मुझे आप ऐसे ही करो। कई बार हमने देखे हैं ये चीजें के डायरेक्टर कैमरामैन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, देन डायरेक्टर एक्टर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, या कैमरामैन एक्टर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, या आपस में बात हो रही है या ये हो रहा है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं वो एक पॉइंट पे आके सबको एग्री करना पड़ता है कि यस। तो वो अब किसकी मानी जाएगी या क्या है, इट डिपेंड्स। तो कैसे है, तो मैं जिस ये काम करता हूँ या मुझे हमेशा ये लगता है कि ठीक है, एज एन एक्टर आप जितना मर्जी ग्रो कर जाओ, आप कुछ भी बन जाओ, लेकिन फिर भी आपको जो चीज ऑफर हुई है, जो आपका करता धरता इज द डायरेक्टर एंड देन डीओपी। सो उनकी बात आप डिनाई नहीं कर सकते। ठीक है, आप अपनी सजेशन दे सकते हो अगर उनको लगता है कि नहीं भाजी मेरा शॉट ऐसे लगा हुआ है, आपको ऐसे ही जाना है। मतलब यहाँ से आपको एक शॉट था उसमें चौथी कूट में के मैं डॉग को लेके वॉक करते जा रहा हूँ, लंबा वॉक करते जा रहा हूँ, और अभी क्या है कि उसमें मैं वॉक करते करते पता नहीं कितनी आगे निकल गया, इतनी आगे निकल गया कि मुझे पता ही नहीं है कि कब कट हुआ कब नहीं हुआ। कोई वहां पे वो नहीं था अपना कोई ऐसा कि आगे से कोई बोल दे के पाजी कट हो गया या ये हो गया, राइट? तो मैं निकल गया अपना। तो वो अब मुझे ही ये एज्यूम करनी थी चीज कि भाई अब मैं कितना आगे जाऊंगा, हो सकता है कट हो गया, हो सकता है ना हो गया। तो आई जस्ट टर्न बैक। तो मैं वापस जैसे ही मुड़ा, तो वापस मुड़ के मैं जब वापस आया डॉग को लेके, सब लोग हंस रहे हैं एंड एवरीबॉडी इज लाफिंग कि हाँ 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 वो बढ़िया शॉट हो गया। मैं कहा यार मुझे तो बता दो कि शॉट ओके हो गया, या मैं निकल गया अपना रास्ते पे लेके, मुझे पता ही नहीं है कब आपका शॉट ओके हुआ कब नहीं हुआ। So that was obviously that was हमारी कोई डिस्कशन नहीं थी उसमें कि आपने कितना आगे, क्योंकि होता ही है कि यहाँ से यहाँ तक जाएंगे, यहाँ से यहाँ तक जाएंगे, उसके बाद कट होगा. तो इस तरह की फिल्म्स क्या है कि आपको पता ही नहीं है कि क्या हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा. तो चलो मैं ले गया डॉग को घुमाने, उसके बाद वापस आया तो सब लोग हंस रहे हैं कि भाजी कट हो गया. मैं कह रहा मुझे तो पता ही नहीं चला कट हो गया. सो आई थिंक this is a combined effort. So anything else?
Thank you, Suvinder ji, for stressing the fact that it's a collective art.
Yes, it's a collective. क्योंकि कई बार हमें डीओपी के हिसाब से भी चलना पड़ता है, कई बार हमें डायरेक्टर के हिसाब से भी चलना पड़ता है, और कई बार एक्टर के हिसाब से भी डायरेक्टर मोल्ड करता है अपनी चीजों को. या एक्टर जब कंफर्टेबल नहीं है तो उसको लग रहा है कि नहीं पाजी ऐसे नहीं, इसको थोड़ा ऐसे कर सकते, तो डीओपी साहब भी उसमें चीजें एडजस्ट करते हैं. यस, इट्स अ कंबाइंड एफर्ट.
Any other questions, comments about the film? Or yes, Rajan?
So did the dog die or he just got injured?
या इस मतलब आपने बड़ा क्या कहते हैं उसको, घोक पंजाबी में घोक का मतलब होता है कि बहुत रिसर्च वाला क्वेश्चन है ना. हाँ नहीं, डॉग वाज नॉट, मतलब वो मरा नहीं था, दैट वाज इंजर्ड. क्योंकि आपने उसमें वो देखे होंगे जब सीन और सब है ना, तो वो इंजर्ड नहीं था, वो मतलब मरा नहीं था, इंजर्ड था वो. तो वो और उसमें बात भी होती है कि कोई नहीं कितने नहीं जानता, मतलब अपना टॉमी वापस आ जाएगा, है ना. तो वो सारी चीजें हैं. तो डॉग वाज नॉट डेड एट ऑल, ही वाज इंजर्ड. तो उसको खाली वो ले जाने का है, और उसके बाद क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ वो सब भगवान पे है कि आगे जाके वो बचा या नहीं बचा. बट ही वाज नॉट डेड. हालांकि जिस हिसाब से मारा गया था डॉग को, तो उसको मर जाना चाहिए था, मुझे ऐसा लगता है. पर वो कहीं ना कहीं हो सकता है कि एक स्ट्रेंथ डॉग में भी थी, या वो इतना वो कैपेबल था कि मुझे मरना नहीं है, मुझे इंजर्ड होना है. सो ही वाज इंजर्ड. तो दैट्स व्हाई हम लोग ट्रॉली में डालते हैं उसको और ले जाते हैं.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Geeta, if I can.
Yes, please go ahead.
Suvinder ji, excellent acting. Really enjoyed watching this film. I think the discussion also has given you an idea of how much this film has meant to all of us.
Yes.
I think across linguistic barriers, I think this film has spoken a great deal to all of us. I just wanted to know if the other actors with you are trained actors. For instance, your mother, I mean, there's something, you know, so I just wanted to know if they were trained actors or they were people who, you know, were just taken to play the role in this film. Thank you very much.
No. She is very much trained in the sense that yeah, she's working in a government, she's a government servant, but apart from that, she is a theater artist. And उनको जो लेने का मकसद यही था, क्योंकि इसमें क्या है कि थोड़ा सा गुरविंदर हालांकि बोलते भी हैं ये चीज के मैं नॉन एक्ट्रेस के साथ काम करता हूँ, लेकिन मेरे केस में वो नहीं बोलते हैं. वो हमेशा भी पीछे भी अभी हमारी यहाँ स्क्रीनिंग हुई है चंडीगढ़ में. सो उनसे यही सवाल पूछा गया कि आप नॉन एक्ट्रेस के साथ काम करते हो, बट वी हैव सीन दिस गाय इन सो मेनी फिल्म्स एंड ही इज वर्किंग. सो थोड़ा सा हो सकता है कि उन्होंने वो चीज चेंज की है, या उनको ये, हालांकि उनकी पहली फिल्म अन्ने घोड़े दा दान, उसमें सैमुअल जॉन वाज देयर and he is my senior in department. So I have studied in theater. I've done my masters in theater. Even Samuel is my senior. He has done his masters in theater. एंड गुरप्रीत पंगू मैडम जिन्होंने मेरी माँ का किरदार किया था, शी इज फ्रॉम थिएटर. हाँ, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दीज, मुझे लगता है कि मेरे अलावा इवन दैट माय वाइफ, द कैरेक्टर माय वाइफ वाज प्लेइंग, राजवीर कौर, शी इज आल्सो अमृतसर की एक्टर हैं, वो भी थिएटर वगैरह करती हैं. तो ये उसके अलावा जितने एक्टर्स थे वो सब
Sorry, I think you're muted. Yeah. सुविंदर जी आप muted है.
You have muted yourself by mistake. Could you unmute, please? Yes.
Yeah.
So हम लोग कहाँ तक पहुंचे थे कि हाँ, मतलब ठीक है, 2-3 एक्टर्स जिसमें मैं हो गया, गुरप्रीत मैडम हो गए जो हमारे माँ का किरदार कर रही हैं, हो गई जो वाइफ का कैरेक्टर कर रही हैं, इवन दैट जुगल कैरेक्टर जुगल, हाँ, ही यू कैन से के वो एक सोशल एक्टिविस्ट हैं, बट वेरी नोन टू थिएटर. या मतलब ये कई बार ऐसा भी नहीं होता है ना कि मैम कि जरूरी नहीं है कि आपको एक्टर के लिए थिएटर कर, जब आप, इवन मैं हूं, मान लो मेरे साथ कोई 2-4 दोस्त मेरे साथ विचर रहे हैं, मतलब मेरे साथ डेली रूटीन में आ रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं, और कोई डायरेक्टर उनको कहता है कि यार ये बंदा मुझे चाहिए अपनी फिल्म के लिए, बट इन दैट सेंस ऑल्सो दे हैव दैट सेंस के ऑफ थिएटर या ऑफ एक्टिंग. आप कैमरा के सामने आप कैसे कर रहे हो, कैसे नहीं, ये चीजें थोड़ी सी मैटर जरूर करती हैं उसमें. सो हाँ, ठीक है, मोस्ट आर्टिस्ट वर यू कैन से के नॉन एक्टर्स, बट सम लाइक मी, मैम एंड राजवीर, दे वर ट्रेन्ड, नहीं कह सकते, मतलब ट्रेन तो कर क्या होंगे. मैं तो इनफैक्ट अभी भी ये सोचता हूँ कि मुझे अभी बहुत ज्यादा ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है. सो ट्रेनिंग इज योर वर्क. हर काम से हम लोग सीख रहे हैं. सो दैट्स द ट्रेनिंग.
Right.
हाँ,
True.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू, प्लेजर.
Any more comments, questions?
सर आपकी जो एक्टिंग थी, काफी जो एक्सप्रेशंस थे काफी डीप थे और कैप्टिवेटिंग थे. तो जब शूट खत्म हो गया, जैसे आपने कहा कि आपको ज्यादा कैरेक्टर के अंदर घुसना पड़ता था, उसके बाद वो चीज निकलती थी, लॉन्ग
Yes.
शॉट्स भी बहुत थे.
हाँ,
तो जब शूटिंग खत्म हो गई, क्या
आफ्टर
उसके बाद
फाइट्स,
भी, हाँ हाँ,
हाँ,
क्या वो
यस,
रहे?
ऑब्वियसली, मतलब हाँ, मतलब इस फिल्म से मैं इस फिल्म के बाद मुझे कुछ ऐसा आफ्टर इफेक्ट फ्रैंकली नहीं कुछ ऐसा हुआ, बट आफ्टर माइलस्टोन जब मैंने किया, अब नेक्स्ट देखोगे जब, उसके बाद मुझे जरूर रहे हैं वो चलो, जब हम उस फिल्म के बारे में अगर चर्चा करेंगे या हम लोग
जी.
आपस में मिलेंगे, हाँ, वो चीजें होती हैं मतलब व्हाट आई फील के जब फिल्म गुजर, क्योंकि आप 1 महीना उस कैरेक्टर को जी रहे हो. सुविंदर से आपने जोगिंदर लिया है, सुविंदर में जोगिंदर लिया है, या तो उसका कुछ ना कुछ एक असर, वो पता नहीं किस ऑरा में या किस वे में आपको अफेक्ट कर जाए, वो मुझे अभी तक वो चीज नहीं पता, लेकिन चीजें वो आपको अफेक्ट जरूर करती हैं कहीं ना कहीं आपकी डेली लाइफ में या डेली रूटीन में. इस तरह की चीजें आफ्टर माइलस्टोन, यस, आई रियली दैट बैक पेन एंड उसके बाद वो कोविड आ गया एकदम से, और वो सारी चीजें, और मैं उसी जोन में आई वाज देयर, और कहीं ना कहीं एंजाइटी एंड वो चीजें, हाँ, कर माइलस्टोन से मुझे जरूर ये चीज फील हुई है. बट इवन से क्योंकि हमें क्या है कि एक्टर को अब आजकल में क्या सिनेरियो है कि अभी स्विच ऑन स्विच ऑफ करना पड़ता है आपको. आप 2 शूटिंग्स भी कर रहे हैं एक साथ. सो अभी मुझे याद है कि अभी पिछले दिनों में मैं नेटफ्लिक्स के लिए एक सीरीज कर रहा हूँ, फिर मैं एक फिल्म भी कर रहा हूँ. सेम टाइम पे मैं 8 घंटे की शिफ्ट एक सीरीज के लिए कर रहा हूँ, और नाइट शिफ्ट मुझे वापस फिल्म के लिए करनी है. और फिर वापस अगले दिन आके फिर अगेन टू द दैट वेब सीरीज एंड देन अगेन फॉर द फिल्म. ये इस तरह का सिलसिला जो है 5-7 दिन चलता रहा मेरे साथ लगातार. तो मुझे आई वाज कंफ्यूज्ड इन माय सेल्फ कि यार हो क्या रहा है. काम अच्छा निकला, काम तो चलो करना ही है, लेकिन हाँ अब वो उसका आफ्टर इफेक्ट ये है कि यार मतलब हो क्या रहा है बॉस, ये मतलब व्हाट इज हैपनिंग विद मी. अब मैं वो हूँ, क्या मैं ये हूँ, क्योंकि मैं अपनी आइडेंटिटी ही भूल गया था. मतलब मुझे ये लगा ही नहीं, मतलब मैं जब गाड़ी में जाता था तो मुझे कभी लगता था कि मैं अपना बलबीर सिंह हूँ, कभी मुझे लगता था कि नहीं मैं सुग्गा हूँ. मतलब दैट फिल्म एंड वो उनका आपस का जो एक वो था. तो मैं मतलब मुझे इवन मेरे स्टाफ वाले बोलते थे कि पाजी यार तुसी की कंफ्यूज क्यों हो. यार मैं क्या मैं मुझे लग ही नहीं रहा कि मैं सुविंदर विक्की हूँ. मतलब मुझे क्या, या मैं बलबीर सोच रहा हूँ या मैं सुग्गा सोच रहा हूँ. तो ये इस तरह की चीजें होती हैं एक्टर के साथ आई थिंक. और मुझे लगता है ये अच्छी चीज भी है, लेकिन क्योंकि जब आपका काम सराहा जाता है तो फिर उसके बाद आप वो चीजें सारी आप ओवर पार कर जाते हो, ये सारा कुछ हो जाता है. तो फिर आपको लगता है कि यार वो आप टाइम याद करते हो वापस, यार इस वक्त पे मैंने ऐसे शूट किया था, ये हमें मुसीबतें आई थी. चौथी कूट में तो क्या है कि मतलब इतनी बारिश होगी, ये आपने वो उसमें देखा होगा कि बादल आ रहे हैं और दैट एवरीथिंग वाज नेचुरल इनफ. मतलब वाकई उस वक्त इतनी बारिश थी और हम लोग मेरे ख्याल 7 दिन लगातार शूटिंग नहीं कर पाए थे. कीचड़ इतना हो गया था, वो सारा घर बह गया था. बह गया इन द सेंस के उसमें शूट करने लायक था ही नहीं कुछ. उनको वेड़ा चाहिए था, वेड़ा वाज मतलब बैडली डैमेज. घर चोने लग गया था, ऊपर से लाइट्स वगैरह करनी थी उनको सब. तो ऐसी 7 दिन हो गए. तो 8वें दिन हम लोग सब बैठे थे, तो गुरविंदर एकदम वो बाहर गए तो उन्होंने देखा कि यार ऐसे बादल आ रहे हैं. तो इमीडिएटली ही कॉल्ड सत्या जी के, सत्या कैमरा लेके आ. तो सत्या जी कैमरा लेके आए तो कहते लेट्स शूट इट. वो जो सब बादल का आना, उसके बाद वो बारिश की बूंदें, बारिश होना, वो सब, और कहीं ना कहीं वो चीजें और वो क्या है कि वो जिस टाइम पे उन्होंने वो चीज लगाई है ना, कि वो जो सब लोग चले गए टेररिस्ट वगैरह, वो आपके घर से निकल के चले गए, उसके बाद वो बारिश है, तो वहां पे उन्होंने वो एडिट में वो चीज लगाई है कि मतलब वो एक माहौल, वो सब जो चीजें क्रिएट हुई है ना. तो वो ये अब क्या है कि कई बार आप कागज पे जितना मर्जी लिख लो, जो मर्जी कर लो, लेकिन नेचर नेचर है. कभी आपको नेचर के हिसाब से भी चलना है.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Gayatri, you have unmuted. Gayatri, you have a question or a comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Jyotirmoy, you had unmuted.
Yeah,
Yes,
first of all, thank you, thank you, Geeta,
Yeah.
for this opportunity, especially because of Suvinder Vicky is here. I just watched the movie last night, and it was a terrific movie, and I could not stop it. I had to watch it late night. Number one, and besides, this movie also had a different kind of impact in my context. I'm from Assam, Suvinder Vicky ji, and in fact, we also had similar kind of experiences. We also had similar kind of experiences in the 90s, similar militancy incidents occurred. And what I felt, this is a fully gripping story, number one. Personification of fear, right from the beginning. You anticipate something drastic is going to happen. That would not happen. That lingers on, and that creates, enhances your sense of anxiety in the film. What would happen next? Would the main character die? Would he be shot at? That occurs. And also what one of the speakers said earlier, that 4 directions. How, what is a catch-22 situation. Wherever you are ultimately be in a kind of soup, in whichever camp you are. And what struck me most, number one, that sense of fear that became a character in the movie. All the time that fear is gripping. Secondly, and the vulnerability of each section of people, like this Hindu small family that comes to the house. And fear is both sides. You know, they're afraid whether they should come in, and other side, the Sikh family is also afraid whether they should allow them in. And here the neutralizing factor happens to be the mother. She is the only sane element. Whenever mother is there, then there's a sense of assurance. It percolates. And more importantly, another character that I found very fascinating, that is how the dog has been turned into a character in the whole movie. He is not a kind of a prop as such, but he's very central to the whole narrative. And whenever dog is alive, it gives a lot of hopes and a sense of assurance. Yes, something positive is still lingering on. But that particular moment when his dog is bitten, that gives a sense of defeat, and which has been very nicely portrayed, because that was very crucial on, not from the point of view of the main character, because he wants to save his own life. Either it will be militant or that would be the police. In any case, dog is the major sort of sense of danger. That is very brilliantly portrayed by your character. That is one. And I'm also amazed to learn that it had developed a rapport with the dog when it was a puppy. So I thought it's very highly trained. It's definitely it's not a kind of VFX thing nowadays. This is happening so much in the films. So that is one very significant thing you have revealed to us, how you developed a relationship with the dog to make it part of your narrative. And then I would like to get some of your views on how actually dog being nowadays, of course, it speaks so much about giving centrality to animals in the human narrative. How you have through the process of the whole cinematic your journey, how you have given, or how you thought of giving that kind of a central position to dog. That is one. Second, also, I must say that rain, you just mentioned about the rain. When I saw the rain, it almost quite symbolic, as I've said, sense of renewal, new hope. Rain brought in that thing. How we have actually a kind of a crisis have turned into a kind of an asset for your filmmaking. So these are some, and what are the other kind of elements that we have brought into the whole film? You can narrate those things. But I must say that this is a movie one must watch. I have recommended this because I never watched a full-length Punjabi film so far. As far as Punjab means only full of life, like your Baisakhi and all kind of a thing. This is an entirely different tale altogether. So yeah, these are some of my observations, and maybe I'd like to get some comments from.
Yeah, thank you, Jyotirmoy.
Thank you.
Would you like to respond, Suvinder ji?
Yeah. Yeah. जहां तक आपने बात की ना, दैट फियर और वो सब चीजें जब आप जहां तक आपने बात की, यस, बिकॉज क्या है कि फिल्म उस वक्त को बिलोंग करती है जब पंजाब में इस तरह का माहौल था. सो ऑब्वियसली फिल्म का हर एक किरदार, चाहे वो एक हिंदू फैमिली, एक सरदार फैमिली की यहाँ पे विजिट कर रही है रात को, वो भी रास्ता भूल गए हैं, एंड कुत्ते के भौंकने की आवाज आती है एकदम से, फिर वो बोलता है कि हाँ भाई कौन है. तो वो उस तरह का जो एक एटमॉस्फेयर, और उसमें कोई बनावट नहीं है, मतलब ट्रूली दैट वाज देयर. हो सकता है कि इससे भी कई गुना ज्यादा हो दैट एलिमेंट ऑफ फेयर. जब वो सब लोग आते हैं, डरा के चले जाते हैं, कुत्ता मार दे एट द रैपो विद द डॉग, ठीक है, वो आपने बात की रेन, वो सब, ये सारी बातें हुई. So yeah, somehow what I feel के in totality, if मैं अगर चौथी कूट को देखूं तो it's very close to that period जिस वक्त की ये कहानी कह रही है ये फिल्म. 84 और वो जो एक डर था, क्योंकि चौथी कूट, कूट का मतलब है दिशा. दिशा दद्दा, अपना 4 दिशाएं हैं ना, पूर्व पश्चिम उत्तर दक्षिण. तो उस वक्त ये जब बरयाम संधू जी ने ये कहानी लिखी थी तो मेरे ख्याल से उस दौर से गुजर के ही उन्होंने ये लिखी थी. क्योंकि मैं तो हाँ पर्सनली अगर मैं अब बात करूं 84 में, तो आई बॉर्न इन 73. सो 84 में मैं 10-11 साल का था. सो आई वाज बेस्ड इन चंडीगढ़. सो चंडीगढ़ वाज सेफ इनफ एट दैट टाइम. लेकिन जो पंजाब, जब जहाँ पे हमारे रिश्तेदार वगैरह ये सब हैं, उन लोगों ने ये चीजें सब झेली हैं. पता लगता रहता था सारा कुछ के अभी इमरजेंसी लग गई, अभी ये असैसिनेशन हो गया, अभी दिल्ली में दंगे हो गए, राइट. तो वो सारी चीजें, और टेररिज्म तो क्या है 96-97 तक रहा है. व्हेन आई एंटर्ड इन यूनिवर्सिटी 96 में, पंजाबी यूनिवर्सिटी पटियाला में मैं जब एंटर किया हूँ मास्टर्स करने के लिए, तब भी कहते हैं ना उसकी जो एक जाते जाते वक्त की एक जो सुगंध या उसकी जो फ्रेग्रेंस या बदबू कह लो, वो चीजें हमने उस वक्त पे जब मैं उस एज में था तो मैंने वो भी फील की हैं. तब भी अंडर कवर पुलिस वाले और वो सब यूनिवर्सिटियों में घूमते थे कि कुछ बचा तो नहीं, कुछ ऐसे एलिमेंट बचे तो नहीं है. तो मैं ये सोचता था कि यार अगर उस वक्त मैं ये फील कर सकता था जब मैं यूनिवर्सिटी में मास्टर्स करने के लिए गया हूँ, तो जिस वक्त की हम कहानी कह रहे हैं, जब मैं 10-11 साल का था, तो उस वक्त जब जो लोग थे उन लोगों ने कितना सहा होगा. तो ऑब्वियसली मतलब मेरी रिसर्च तो एज एन एक्टर फिर यही है. सो आई वेंट देयर. मैं पंजाब गया अपने रिश्तेदारों के पास, जो जिन लोगों ने ये समा हंडाया है, जिन लोगों ने इस वक्त को जिया है, कैसे कैसे जिया है. सरदार बंदा बाल कटवा रहा है, या जिसके बाल कटे हुए वो पगड़ी बांध रहा है. सो वो चीजें जो फियर की आपने बात की ना, तो वो डर था. तो मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग, चलो उस फेयर को अगर उस लेवल तक नहीं तो कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग उसे दिखाने में कामयाब जरूर हुए हैं. क्योंकि फिल्म का पर्सपेक्टिव ये है कि उसे आप कहानी के रूप में जितना उतना, अब सारा तो नहीं बयान कर देना ना, तो कहानी जो कह रही है आपको उसी के अंदर ही सब कुछ बयान करना है. सो या दैट वाज देयर. एंड एज एन एक्टर मतलब जो उस वक्त फीलिंग थी या उस पे जो रिसर्च हुई, दैट वाज डन बाय मी.
I must say you have done it brilliantly. It was a brilliant performance by you, and
Yeah.
very captivating and arresting.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you.
सर टाइटल दा मैंने है तक समझ नहीं आया कि आपने बताया तो है कि 4 दिशाएं होती हैं, पर चौथी डायरेक्शन.
तो मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि बरयाम संधू जी ने जब उनकी एक स्टोरी बुक है, दिस इज अ स्टोरी बेसिकली, चौथी कूट. तो इसमें 2 कहानियों का मिश्रण है. जब कहानी शुरू होती है जुगल से, 2 आदमी रेलवे स्टेशन एंड देन बारात से निकल के ट्रेन पकड़ते हैं कि हमें अमृतसर जाना है
जी.
दैट इज द स्टोरी चौथी कोट. तो जो ये बीच में कहानी आई है जोगिंदर की, दैट इज मैं हूं ठीक ठाक हाँ, नाउ आई एम ओके, या मैं हूं ठीक ठाक हाँ, दिस इज अनदर स्टोरी.
अच्छा.
तो गुरविंदर
आपकी अभी आवाज नहीं आ
I
रही.
think, yeah.
सर,
You're not
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
audible, Suvinder ji, you're not audible. आवाज नहीं आ रही है आपकी.
Sir, you're not audible. Sir, you're not audible.
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है. No.
What to do? Should we drop a message?
Yeah.
और अच्छा हाँ, चौथी कूट क्यों रखा नाम उन्होंने? मेरे ख्याल से कि जब उस वक्त ये बातें होती थी कि इस दिशा में नहीं जाना, टुवर्ड्स अमृतसर, टुवर्ड्स पंजाब, ये लोग बातें होती थी यहाँ नॉर्थ में, दिल्ली में या अपना राजस्थान में या बिहार में या यूपी में, कि उधर नहीं जाना, उस पासे नहीं जाना. So that was called that चौथी कूट, चौथी दिशा, इस पासे नहीं जाना, because वहां पे ये मामला है, ऐसा चल रहा है कुछ. So that's why he has given that name, चौथी कूट. Okay, चौथी दिशा वाल ना जाए.
साथ में या विकी, उस साथ में ना आज अभी आपके आने से पहले एक संजय कुमार जी ने भी बहुत अच्छी इंटरप्रिटेशन दी कि एक, क्योंकि आर्ट फिल्म का यही मजा होता है कि इट इज ओपन टू ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ इंटरप्रिटेशन. तो उसमें एक इंटरप्रिटेशन चौथी कूट की ये भी दी कि इसमें 3 डायरेक्शन हमें दिखाए जा रहे हैं. एक डायरेक्शन, एक मतलब जो एक पोजीशन है एक्सट्रीमिस्ट का जिन्होंने खालिस्तान की मांग की, फिर एक पोजीशन है स्टेट की, यानी कि गवर्नमेंट की या आर्मी की, राइट. तीसरी पोजीशन है कॉमन मैन की जो डरा हुआ है, जो डॉग जैसे सफर कर रहा है फ्रॉम बोथ वेज, यू नो. तो चौथी पोजीशन जो है वो एंड में क्लियर होती है कि ये लोग जब इकट्ठे ट्रेन ट्रैक पे चलने लगते हैं सबके सब, ये जब आए होते हैं तो इनके चेहरों पे बहुत फियर होता है, इनके चेहरों पे बहुत एक अजीब सा फियर होता है. लेकिन जब ये बाहर वापस जाने लगते हैं तो धीरे धीरे ऐसे लगता है जैसे इकट्ठे मिलके सब एक झुंड बना के एक दूसरे से उनको स्ट्रेंथ मिलती है. तो ये अपने आप में एक नया डायरेक्शन है. कि आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही विकी. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So anyways, Rajan, मतलब ये जो संजय जी ने एक्सप्लेनेशन दिया, मुझे वो भी बहुत सही लगा
जी.
कि that is the 4th dimension, that is the 4th position to take, you know, which is basically we all unite together despite all the fears attached and get over them and find a new direction.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Any comments? It's been a wonderful discussion.
Yeah.
So I think we will end this session now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Balpreet.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much
you
for
so much.
asking us to watch this film. It was a wonderful film, as is quite evident from the kind of discussion that it has generated. And thank you also for bringing in the actor himself, Suvinder Vicky. Thank you very much to Suvinder Vicky. I think he has gone off the air.
Yeah. I'll tell him that. I'll tell him
please,
that.
please
I'll
convey
pass on the message.
please convey our gratitude to him, and thank you all very much. See you again next Saturday, same time. We'll be watching Milestone.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good night.
Thank you, Balpreet. Thank you,
Vicky.
Ruchika. Yeah, and very thanks also to Suvinder for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Ruchika, for.
Good night. We'll meet next week.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.